Hey everyone, welcome to day, is it 49? 48? I don't know. It's 48. Uh, I almost have 200 subscribers, so that's crazy. That's a lot of people. How many people is that? That's a lot of people. So anyway, so today I am kind of pressed on time, so I can't do a full hour today. So what I think I'm going to do instead is earlier I did Jump Game 2. And I did this. I actually gave up on this. I did this, which is so this is n squared. So after I did this problem, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, I looked up the solution and understood how it worked conceptually. So I'm going to try to recall how it worked and to code it. So that will be today's task. I think it's good to um, revisit problems that you failed and kind of reinforce the right way of doing it. So for those of you who missed it, Jump Game 2. So we're given it an array nums, so just a list of integers, and every integer represents the amounts you can jump up to. So if you're at 2, you can jump. So we have 2, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1. So if you're at 2, this means you can jump up to 2 spaces. So we can jump here or we can jump here. Then if we're at 4, for instance, we can jump here, 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 or here. So we have all these different choices on where we can jump. So we always start at the first index, index 0, and we have to get to the last index, index n minus 1. And the question is, so for Jump Game 1, the question is it possible? For Jump Game 2, which is this question, the question is, what is the minimum number of jumps that we can get to the last index? And we assume in this problem that it is always possible. So if we look at an example, so I think I remember, so kind of how the solution works is you want to look at the problem as sort of buckets. So we want to know what is the furthest index we can get with 0 jumps. So if we do not jump at all, what's the furthest index we can get? And that means, well, we can only get to this index because that's where we start. So now, where's the furthest index we can get in this array with 1 jump only? So the answer is if you take this jump, so now this is the furthest. So what that means is from the furthest of 0 jumps to the furthest of 1 jump is all of the possible places we can get to in 1 jump. So now the question is, using all of these, what is the furthest place we can get to in 2 jumps? So here would be here, and then here we would say here and here. So the furthest we can determine is here, the last index. So this is the furthest we can get to in 2 jumps. Would be this point, which means we calculate from all of these the furthest point from the 3rd jump. So basically what you do is, first step, calculate the furthest position you can get to in a target number of jumps. So it starts at what's the furthest position I can get with 0 jumps, which will always be the first index. And then it's, okay, what's the furthest position I can get with 1 jump? And then it's, what's the furthest position I can get to 2 jumps? And I think we keep going until we reach the last index. And to calculate at every step the furthest index, you have to loop through everything in that bucket and then just record the max. And this is still O of n because we only process one number. we process each number one time. Okay, so I have no idea how to code this. So let's think about it here. So I guess we could start with, I'll call it like bucket for now and then figure out a better way to put it. So the bucket will just start with nums of 0. So this is our current bucket. And then what we want to say is okay, so we'll have all right, I'll just start by getting something down. So furthest index will be 0. So while bucket, we'll say bucket.pop, and well, I guess we would need I. So I'll have a list of tuples, I guess. So this will be I and value. So we're going to pop, and then if I plus value is greater than furthest, then furthest becomes, is it farthest? I actually don't know how to spell it. We'll just say max index to avoid any embarrassment. All right, so max index will become I plus val. So for instance, and we want to do this for everything in the bucket. So, okay, so we'd pop this. And then the furthest this one can get is 0 plus 2, which is index 2. Okay, and then bucket is empty. So then bucket will be here. So I have a feeling that there's got to be some clever way to implement it. I think maybe we want a for loop outside of here, maybe. Okay, so then after we're done with this, we want to go. So when we find the furthest, we want to go from, let's say we have a pointer like C. We want to go from C plus 1 all the way to largest. So could we say, so for I in range, length of num, well, we want to go from current to max index. But we can't change this while we do it. Okay, I think I need to hit the drawing board on this and think of an algorithm to do this. So basically at every point, okay, so we need to identify max index using bucket. So we need to do that. And bucket, maybe we can define as a range. So could we say while max index is, so our stop condition would be while max index is less than length of nums. That would be our not our stop. That would be, we want to continue while this is true. So while our furthest point is less than length of nums, because when it equals length of nums, I guess minus 1. So when it gets to our target index, we want to stop. Okay, so I'm having trouble with exactly which type of loop we need and why. So I'm just gonna kind of backtrack a little bit here. So let's say I starts here. Okay, so I will start here. Then we're going to calculate the largest. So at every point, we want to see if we can get a new largest. So let me start with I equals 0, and we'll just say largest. Okay. So we'll just do this. So if I plus, I'm not muted. Okay, if I plus nums of I is greater than, so this is like our potential. So if that's greater than largest, then largest should become the new, like this one. And then eventually, so we'll go up until the end of the bucket. So we'd have to say, so what if here we said, okay, so this would work for one, what if we said old largest? Right, so this would go from 0 until old largest, which is 0. And then when it goes here, so when I is greater than old largest, okay, so when this loop exits, we want old largest to become largest. So now, whatever was here in largest should become old large. Like that's the end of the. So then we want to loop for I in range. So from I, so for j in range from I to old largest, perhaps. I could change the variable names. And then every time this exits, jumps should go up by 1. Okay, so I'm thinking here. It would be I'm almost wondering if we should put the while loop on the outside and then say for I in range. I guess we could say j. So this would be, we want to iterate through like a start and an end. So let's try this. So for I in range, start and end, and then we can change start and end. So after it terminates, okay, so this will identify largest of bucket. And then here we'll say end equals largest. So whatever we previously identified largest to be, okay, largest equals -1. All right. Okay, so we're going to loop through one bucket and then update largest. So this will be the largest index that we can find from this bucket. And then we want end to be largest and start to be I plus 1. Or maybe not I plus 1. So this looks good, but how do we get start? 15 minutes. Okay, so how do we know where to start? So we know that it's going to start at 0 and end is also going to be 0. Okay, so we're going to have taken 0 jumps, start at 0 and end at 1. Or could it be end plus 1? Yeah, it should be end plus 1. Okay. So our bucket will be from 0 to 0 and we'll start with 0 jumps. Then we want to loop through so we want to go loop through our entire bucket and identify the largest. Okay, so we'll find largest and we want to repeat this, but now start should be where we ended plus 1. So would we say start equals end plus 1 perhaps? And then we would say, so we want to start where we ended plus 1, and then we want our end to be largest. And we want to continue doing this until for now I'll just say while largest is less than length of nums minus 1. Okay, so I don't think this will work as is because, and then largest will also be 0. Okay, so 0 is less than length of nums 1, so start is going to be, should I set it to that? So start will be 0 and end will be 0. Okay, and then for 0 to 1, if the potential 2 is greater than largest, which it is, largest will be 2 and jumps will go up by 1. Now we go back. Start is going to be equal to end plus 1. So end, well, actually first we should do this here. So maybe like that. So largest, so in that case, largest was what? It was 2. So now we're looping from start. Okay, so then end goes to 3. Actually, end goes to 2. And start goes to end plus 1, which is 3. So we don't want it to be that. Is it supposed to be like this? I think it's like that. So start would be where we ended plus 1. So that would be 1 in this case. So wherever this was, we just want to add 1 to it. And then end is largest, just largest. So 2. And then, so that's our bucket. And then we're going to plus 1 to that. So that way we don't. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just print start and end. So I just want to make sure our windows are correct at this point. Okay, we have while bucket somewhere. Okay. Do we have an infinite loop? Okay, we have an infinite loop. Okay, let me for now just say while jumps. So I just want to see this output. So while jumps is less than 5. It's also, okay, I don't have any other code, right? Okay, so this is still giving me an infinite loop. So start should be 0, and oh, is it because of this? So I want to initialize largest to 0. I don't know if that could have anything to do with it. Okay, so our first window is 0, 0. Our second window is 1, 2. And our last one is 3, 5. So why is it 5? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong example. Okay. So it's 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, looks good. So let me return jumps. And then we obviously are going to have to change that condition. So I return 6 somehow. Oh, we only want to do jumps after we did the whole loop. List out of range. Okay, that looks better. So here we want to say while largest is less than length of nums minus 1. So this is what I initially had. Let's see if that holds true. Okay. Looks good. So end we need and largest we need. We don't need start. All right, let's see if that gives us an error somewhere. Okay, that's the solution. Let me delete all of this. Okay, let's see if I can simplify this program. Still not muted. Okay, so jumps get set to 0. Largest gets set to 0. So my idea here is once largest is either our answer or greater, then we know we can reach it in however many of jumps that we have. End is -1 just for this part. We could also put end here and say end equals largest plus 1, I think. That might be more intuitive. So this would be 0, and here we would say end equals largest plus 1. Okay, yeah, so this is interesting. So we're basically taking a we're basically just looping through the array once. But this determines how we split it, which is basically like the number of jumps. Okay, and then, yeah, I can make those all 0, but okay, I think this looks good. That's how I remember it being done, was with the buckets. So so this is jump game 2. So I'm going to submit this on LeetCode and let's see how it does. So previously I did it with 300 milliseconds, but most of the solutions used 40 because mine was not optimal because it's n squared. So let's try this linear solution and see if this improves the runtime. Okay, perfect. So now we can see it takes 2 milliseconds and beats the memory. So that's jump game 2. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 49.